Hello, the consistent 20 or so people who actually apparently watch this. Um, at least you're watching a podcast thing. It's been a while since the last one, but I'm back with a vengeance. I'm here with the
Delivery.
the man himself, the homeless father, Harrison
Hey,
Thorne.
it's me, Harrison.
Um, he is currently going through Alcoholics Anonymous, so everyone please be kind in the comments.
Yeah, I drink a lot. That's the main thing.
Don't we all? Harry, how are you? What have you been consuming?
I'm all right. Yeah, I'm good. Just I've been consuming my own flesh. Um,
Just
um,
like stir fry. I've run out of chicken. I'm just gonna. That's it. I'll just take the arm off. What you
just
said.
cut a finger off,
Yeah.
just gotta get the leg off.
Nibbling on it.
It's good nutrition.
Yeah.
Lots of fat. Not too much. Been playing loads and loads of the Resident Evil games. Um, and I'm most of the way through Shenmue at the moment, the first
Hmm.
one. And that's interesting because with Resident Evil, they're just really fun survival horror games for the most part. But with Shenmue, you just like walking around a small Japanese town for like 20 hours, just waiting for shit to happen. It's like really calming. Can be a little frustrating at times, but it's pretty good. And yeah, those are what I've been playing mostly lately.
You've been
You?
you've been you've been watching some shows as well. You watched the new
Oh
Spike
yeah, I
Lee.
watched yeah, I watched The Five Bloods
Yeah, I want to
yesterday, and I
watch
think
that.
I think it's probably his best film from what
Oh
I've seen of his
wow.
stuff. I really loved it because it's I don't think like I've seen a film that shows like the after effects of war on
Yeah.
like international and like like on the international level and also the scale of of like where it actually happens like that long after. And
Mm.
it's like little things like all the Vietnamese people in the film calling it the American War, not the Vietnam War. It's like little things like that that kind of affect it. And also watched Normal People,
Mm.
which is on BBC iPlayer in this country, and I think like it's a really really great show because it's just so incredibly sad and affecting,
Mm.
but it's also really human and it just follows these two people and like their in and out relationship over several years,
That
and
sounds really interesting.
it's really interesting and it's sad and it kind of like it's weird because it ended like the exact words I thought it would end with, but ended in like it's in a different context,
Mm.
and it works really well and like it's just really charming and lovely and also sad and horny. It's a good show.
Sad and horny. I always
Yeah,
like. I don't know why. I don't know where it comes from for me, but I always like narratives and stuff that span like multiple years and just
yeah,
like
you'll like
the.
this.
I always just like character development where it's about like how what the effect of time is on relationships and characters and stuff. So yeah, it sounds really cool. I might try and check it out later today. Um,
You should. Yeah.
I've been
You been up to much?
I've been playing. I played a lot of Mortal Kombat 11 for a time, um, but I think I've sort of run my course with it. I went to it yesterday, and I was just like, I don't want to play any more Mortal Kombat 11. I think there's a limit, and also I'm not good enough to, and I don't want to be good enough because it takes so much time to get to the point where I'm playing like online matches and stuff. And also like I think the thing is like they tried to encourage you by giving you collectible consumables and like cosmetics and stuff, but after a point it's just like why am I doing this? Like it's just a different
Yeah,
glove for this character. But I really like playing as Spawn. I've like got every single like skin that I wanted for Spawn, and I think Spawn is like one of the most fun fighting game characters I've ever played as.
but
And
doesn't Keith David voice
yeah,
him?
and Keith David is
Yeah,
like
that's it.
amazing, and all of his like intros are so fucking good. And like, there's one with the Joker where the Joker tries to like make a joke to him, and he's just like, I'm gonna make you shit out your mouth or something, or he's just like, I'm gonna rip your asshole open or something. It's just like the most vulgar like shit from Keith David's mouth. It's amazing. But yeah, I think Spawn is definitely my favorite character. But I had a lot of fun with Mortal Kombat. I been what else have I been playing? I haven't touched Animal Crossing in weeks, weirdly enough.
Yeah,
I think I just sort of hit a brick where I was like happy with what I'd accomplished, and also like I think 100 plus hours out of a single game is enough, and I'll probably
that's
come back to
plenty.
it
Yeah.
at some point. But yes, I swear I played something else. I swear I did. For some reason, I started a new playthrough of A Way Out with Summer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is definitely that game. I've
You
been
trying
playing a
to
load. I've been
convince us,
playing
man.
I played a load of VR shit. And I really liked. I played Blood and Truth and Astrobot mainly. And Blood and Truth is basically first-person Cockney Uncharted. That's the best way to put it. It's just really fun, and like
That sounds great.
it has so many. It has like the massive action set pieces of like Uncharted or something, except just in VR. And when you're like on a parachute above London, it's kind of like, wow, bro. And then you take it off, and there you are, sat naked on your floor in your bedroom. But and then Astrobot, I'm just like, oh god. And then it always happens in VR games because before you play a game, they always like say, "Is everything aligned?" And it shows the view of the PlayStation camera, and you're just sat there like with a headset. And for me, I was just sat in my pants because it was really hot, and I was just like, "Oh god, what the fuck am I doing with my life?" But yeah, the one the one I was really into was Astrobot, which is just fantastic. Like it's just a platformer, but it just uses VR in such a creative way. And like you are a character as a VR robot who's like the mama of this robot you're controlling. Um, and it's just really clever how they use it, and it's like there's like secret, if you look to your right there'll be like a secret tunnel that you can then make the character jump into and go get a collectible and come back out and stuff. It's just like it's hard to explain, but it's so creative. And it's such
Yeah.
an interesting way of doing it, and the boss fights especially were my favorite things because it was like it would incorporate you as a player using your head and smacking things, and then also the real life controller, which is in VR. You can see it when you're in the VR. Use it to whack over the head or like throw shurikens and stuff, whilst you're
Oh,
also
fun.
controlling a little robot to like punch out a monkey's teeth or something. It's just amazing. And I was really happy. We'll get into it, but the new Astrobot looks like it's a non-VR, just straightforward
Yeah, looks it.
platformer. It's going to come with PS5, which is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also replayed through all of the Uncharted. I have to admit, I think I really didn't enjoy Uncharted 1 and 2. I was just a bit
Yeah.
like, ugh. About halfway through Uncharted 2, it started to click again, and I was like, oh yeah, this is why I like the games. And I started to enjoy it. 3 is good, like really good, because it sort of steps it up a bit. And then just 4 is just like, it's better than I remember it being.
Four's
And
fantastic.
I
Yeah.
was so blown away with the fact that it was a 2015 game because it looks as like better than stuff that's releasing now, and it's just such a polished, pretty long game.
Party
Um,
like 15
yeah,
hours or
it's a
so.
hearty game,
Yeah.
and it's just like small moments of. I really loved it. It's just one where you're like towards the end, just sat in like a dilapidated, like broken down pirate pub, and you just like sit with your brother, and you can have like a
Yeah.
dialogue tree and just sit for a bit. And I was like, this is amazing, and all of the animations are perfect. All of the cutscenes are great, and it's just so weird thinking it's the same franchise as Uncharted One, because there's such a level of maturity and such a level of polish, and everything is so good, and it feels so. That's the word you can use for it. Mature. It's just so much like it's so elevated beyond what it should have been. It's astonishing. And then Lost Legacy is great. It's just a great side bit, and I
It's
love
just
the open.
more of four. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's that great moment where like you're left on your own to sort of walk through the open world area. And I was just like, wow, Naughty Dog are really good at crafting massive open spaces.
Yeah, because you can get all those puzzle pieces
Yeah.
to unlock
But
that like
also like
thing for them.
they make the world feel like it's real in that like sense of like, oh, I want to get down there, how can I do it? Oh, I can use my rope to pull that thing off, you know. But also it's like everything has a reason for being there. So you're always rewarded for exploring. There's always treasure or there's always like a note or something. So that was great. Then I went back and played Last of Us Remastered again, and it was good. I think it's one of those things where I've played it a lot of times. Um,
Yeah.
and also, I think maybe I shouldn't have played it after playing all the Uncharted. I maybe should have played it after 3, so it was in the order
Yeah.
of release, because it felt a bit like a step, which it is. It's a back step was back. A back step, it's a step backwards from Uncharted 4, and it feels a little bit more clunky and a little bit less refined. And weirdly enough, it didn't feel like, it's weird when you go back to stuff like that. It never as polished as I remember it being when I first played it. It's never as like absolutely perfect as I remember it playing. I think just in terms of animation and like polish in those areas, like it's a little bit lacking. It's definitely more Uncharted 3 than it is Uncharted 4, but it's a good game. And obviously I replayed it because of 2 coming out on Friday.
Yeah, boy.
Which we will get into in a bit. But before all that, 2 days ago, PlayStation were like, hey, have a little hour-long conference of PS5 stuff. And personally, I thought it was a very good conference. And
It was a good one, yeah.
I think it's the most oh shit moments I've had in a conference in a while.
Definitely, probably since last E3.
Well, the only big thing I remember from last E3 was when Cyberpunk Keanu Reeves was announced.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
I went crazy for that. Otherwise, it was kind of like a bit of a, not really any surprises, if you know what I'm saying. But it seems like they spent a lot of money on this conference. I think they even spent a lot of money just on like the transitions between each video. Like those, like how much money did they spend on those graphics packs? How much? Like it's so funny to me that at the Game Awards, like Xbox just like they were just like, here's the console, and then PlayStation have clearly spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, to make this floating black orb thing just to show what their fucking console looks like. What you could do with that amount of money they probably spent on that. But yeah, it was a very polished conference, and I think it was because there were stories about how Sony were refusing to just make it look unprofessional and having it be webcams like the Xbox thing, like having it be people at home. So it was taking so long to put together because they wanted it to be professionally shot, professional looking, and obviously every clip of a person was shot inside their home. So it took a long time to like get equipment there, film their thing, like for every single person. So yeah, I think the polish paid off though. It made it feel like if we weren't in a worldwide pandemic right now, I don't know if know that was the reason why it looked like that. It looked like a professional.
Yeah, it looked good, and it didn't say it's welcome or anything.
No.
They had quite a snappy pace to it for the most part.
I think the only thing for me, we'll go through everything that was announced, but I would have just liked to have seen a logo for God of War or Batman, but apart from that, I pretty much got everything I wanted. But yeah, so
I would have liked more details about backwards compatibility and like how the console's actually going to work.
Yeah,
stuff like that.
I feel like it's all coming though.
It will come in the next few
and I mean,
months,
we got a lot of technical stuff in that Mark Cerny talk anyway about like the actual, that was just technical stuff. But they've already said that backwards compatibility at launch is going to be compatible with at least the top 100 PlayStation 4 games.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And I remember saying to you, do you reckon whether they'll have it so that digital PS4 games can also be backwards compatible? I think they have to now, seeing as they've announced a digital-only PlayStation 5. Like, it has to be compatible with that. But let's go through. They started off with a little tease of my bell end, which made me scream. And then when I realised what it was, I was like, why would you do that? They started with a Rockstar logo, and I was like, oh my God, what are you starting with? And I'll be honest, there were rumours coming back up recently that apparently Rockstar's single-player department are still working on an Red Dead 1 remake in the RE2 and the Red Dead 2 engine. I'd forgotten about all of that. I'd left hope behind, and then recently there've been several articles about that's what they're working on. And so I'm there, sat there, PlayStation fanboy. Rockstar symbol comes up. Do you expect me not to scream? I was like, what? And then it says GTA 5. But in retrospect, I don't mind that much because it was like, let's get this out of the way, and then everything from this point onwards is all PS5 new shit.
Yeah, I know.
So the real, go on.
It's just odd, like, because like starting with like a remaster, kind of. But I know, but like just seeing like the Rockstar logo came up, like I always said, oh shit, what's gonna happen? So I was like, GTA 6 something. But
we recorded our reaction, me and Summer. It'll be on my YouTube channel. But yeah, I'd lose my fucking shit for that second, and then as soon as I realised it's GTA 5, I was just like, Oh well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the real big first announcement was Spider-Man Miles Morales,
Hell
which,
yeah.
after a lot of weird phrasing and wording from Insomniac devs, is being established to be a standalone game that will probably be at launch for PS5.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it'll be like a download fee, like £20. I'm hoping.
I imagine it'll be a disc. I imagine it'll be like a £40. They said they're comparing it to the scale of Lost Legacy. That was a quote from Insomniac.
Yeah, so I know that's why it should be like £25 maybe max.
Well, Lost Legacy
Uh,
was 40, I think, when it came out.
40.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, it was £40. So I imagine it will be around that. And I imagine it will be a disc because I think they want it to be a big title. But Spider-Man at launch is good regardless,
Pretty well, yeah.
and it's a
It's just
reason
a
to
short
get
one.
it's a reason to get a PlayStation 5 at launch. You know, it's not the biggest
Yeah.
reason in the world, but it's a reason.
It's a very good reason, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that they're deciding to do a sort of sidestep, rather than going straight for Spider-Man 2 already. It looks like most of Insomniac are actually working on Ratchet and Clank. So we might not see Spider-Man 2 for a while yet.
I'm okay with
If
that.
if anything, we might actually see God of War before we see Spider-Man. But you know,
Maybe.
it's possible. But yeah, it looks pretty. I'm very excited to finally play a Spider-Man game with Miles Morales as the playable character.
I'm excited for that.
It's something I wanted for a while. I always wanted them to make a sequel to Ultimate Spider-Man and make it Miles Morales. But here we go. We've got this. It looks beautiful. I just want to swing around with that new haptic feedback stuff on PS5. Just swing around the city for hours and then get the platinum on that. But yeah, very excited about that.
I'm really curious about how they're going to do villains for Miles Morales because he doesn't really have that many like iconic villains. Like besides like his uncle.
Yeah, I don't know if the uncle is part of this universe though, but they might. There was a lot of purple guys, so it might be the Prowler. But I reckon it'll probably be. I don't know. It might be cool if they introduce new villains. It might be cool if they just rework some classics to fit in with this new. Because I think because of the scale of it, it's probably going to end up being a little bit more light-hearted, like a little bit less big. Like there's this. I think the what's the word? I don't know what I'm talking about. Oh, I think the stakes are going to be a lot smaller. Like it's going to be a more focused thing. But yeah, all we've got to go on is like a 20-second trailer. It looks beautiful. I lost my absolute mind when I saw the little red spider. I was like, oh my god, it's Miles Morales Spider-Man. Which is such a big dick energy move for Sony to start with.
It's a good move. I like it.
Yeah. After that, they announced, was it Gran Turismo 7?
Yeah,
which
that's cool if you like that stuff.
The people who like Gran Turismo 7 are going to be real happy.
Yeah.
Going to be real happy it's coming. I'm sure, racing games are going to feel great with that new controller. Good for you.
And it looks pretty, I guess.
Not for me. And then the second big oh shit moment for me in summer especially was the new Ratchet and Clank announcement.
Yeah, that looks really fun.
It looks so great, and I think also that like the mechanic of like jumping between dimensions and planets on a whim, I think is them trying to show off how fast they can load stuff.
Yeah,
with the
solid
PS5.
state drive.
Yeah. It looks like a lot of fun. I think it's a brand new game, whereas 2016's one was a little bit of a retread of Ratchet 1. So this
It's a
one
remake, mostly.
This one is a brand new game. It's the first brand new game in about 7 years, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Summer was very excited. I think it looks very fun.
Yeah, definitely.
I just sort of wonder inside of Insomniac what their plan is, because I think it's probably they've got a smaller team working on Spider-Man, and then when that drops, they'll help finish off Ratchet, and then we'll start some Spider-Man 2. So I reckon Ratchet will come out like middle of next year, to be honest, middle to end of next year, and then probably 2 years after that we'll get Spider-Man. Talking about 2023.
I think we'll probably get Spider-Man by 2022. That's when Spider-Verse is coming out, isn't it? Spider-Verse 2.
Yeah.
2022.
Yeah.
That'd be good. I think 2022 for Spider-Man 2.
That makes sense. I think I mean, it would be really, really cool if God of War were to come out sometime in the next 2 years. But
When did that come out? 2018.
yeah, it came out before Spider-Man did. So
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we don't. There's rumors that Santa Monica aren't even working on God of War. They're working on a new IP. Which, I mean, if true, would be a little bit of like, oh, okay, so when are we getting this sequel? Because it's going to be, I don't know, it might be one of those really long things, but it's also like, I just want to know the story, and I hope they don't take too long because I feel like they might lose some of that momentum and hype for it. But then again, probably not. I mean, the weirdest thing was after the PS5 conference, God of War was trending.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Because people were just asking like, where is it? After that, they announced Project Athia, which is
Was that the Square Enix thing?
Square Enix game. She is definitely jumping.
Yeah, she do be jumping.
You do be jumping. I've looked at that is a PS5 exclusive as well.
It's also going to be on PS. It's going to be on PC, I think, as well.
No, it's PS5 exclusive as far as. Or it might just be a console exclusive then.
Maybe that's it. Yeah,
it is a PS5 exclusive. I didn't really have much to say about it. It was just a woman jumping. The environments look pretty.
Yeah.
Then we had Stray, which looked quite cute.
Cute. Play the cat all here on Cyberpunk world. Yeah.
I'm not really sure what the gameplay is going to be, but I'm up for being a cat. We all like being a cat. It looks really cute. I'm down for Stray. It's a cat time. Then we had Returnal, which is from Housemarque.
Is that the sci-fi one?
Yeah, it looked kind of creepy. They're the devs who made Resogun, and this feels like a bit of a different jump to that. It looks very interesting. I think that was the biggest thing with this conference, even compared to like the Xbox one. I think because they still had the big announcements, all of these other titles were sort of given the same attention, and it meant that each one of these actually looks really interesting. For completely different reasons, but there was no title on here apart from maybe 2K or Gran Turismo where I wasn't like, oh, that looks interesting. I'd be interested in seeing more or buying that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Returnal, it's looking like a creepy time, but also an isolation-y, stuck in space, creepy good time. And
it's like every time you die you come back to life, right?
Yeah.
It looks like you start your ship, yeah.
Yeah, it looks interesting. And then we had Sackboy: A Big Adventure, which I think is a great move.
I mean, I don't know, because I think it looks like a really fun platform.
Yeah.
And I think like a game having a console having like a strong platformer at launch is always like a good thing.
It is good.
Like
I don't know. Did they say it was at launch? I didn't think they announced a date for it.
I feel like it'll be a launch game. I don't know if that's confirmed, but I just feel like it'll be a launch game. But I think the main what I'm curious about is like how like Little Big Planet fans are going to feel about it, because it doesn't look like there's any of the creating stuff.
I mean, I imagine if any Little Big Planet fans were watching that, they were probably a bit like, oh my god, finally we're getting a new Little Big Planet game. But no, not happening. Oh, it says release date is 2020.
All right, so it's probably a launch game then.
Yeah, so that would be a good. But yeah, it looks like a solid Little Big Planet platformer, which I don't have a problem with, because actually I played Little Big Planet 2 and 3, and the part I enjoyed about it was just playing the campaign, because they were always quite creative. But yeah, we'll see how it does. I think also that Sackboy is actually quite a good mascot for PlayStation as a brand.
Yeah, I like him. He's cute.
Yeah, and it's recognizable at this point as well, so it's a good choice to sort of bring it back.
Yeah, my mum knows who he is, so
that's the sign of recognition. Yeah. Then we had Kenna Bridge of Spirits, which actually caught my eye quite a bit just because of how the combat and gameplay looked. It looked quite not intense necessarily, but quite like Hellblade to me. A little quite focused in and quite fast paced and frantic, but also quite colourful. This was the one with the little black cute things that follow you around the whole game.
Oh, I think I think I kind of forgot that one, but I know. I feel it looked kind of fun. The combat looks interesting.
It looked a lot of fun, and there were things like you can use those creatures to like help you in combat, and if you shoot an arrow at them, then they'll throw it at the enemy, sort of thing. Things like that. It is again, it's one of those cute sort of fun games. That also says release date of 2020. That might also be around launch. And then we had the brilliant Lord Lanning come through with another Oddworld Soulstorm, which is also coming out this year, apparently. We both agreed that Kadikarus is going to be very happy about that.
Sure, he's chuffed.
That was my first thought. It looks great. It looks like a new Oddworld game. Yeah,
it really does look like Oddworld.
Yeah.
Which is like, it doesn't look, which I think is like the most nice thing to say about it. It just looks like a puzzle platformer.
I mean, it's got that sort of creepy vibe to it. It's always sort of been a puzzle platformer with like Lemmings mechanics and stuff. So it looks like Oddworld. And, I mean, the thing about console launches is right at launch, there's always sort of a slight drought on things you can play because it's just come out. And so around that time, I think is a good time to put things like that out because more people will be browsing the PlayStation Store, being like, "Oh, I'll try this thing for £20 or whatever it is."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sort of creepy. The trailer was cool enough. It's interesting that Oddworld still has a market after all these years, but it's great. Then we finally saw gameplay of Ghostwire Tokyo, which is the new game from Tango Gameworks.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that.
Yeah, I was not expecting it to be a first-person magic shooter.
Spellcasting thing?
Yeah.
Where you like, fight, like...
Yeah.
Because it's done by Shinji Mikami, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's the guy directing it.
It's the same studio who made Evil Within.
Yeah.
Which you've also just recently played. What did you think of it?
I thought it was good. Like at first I was really annoyed. At first, like I found the game kind of annoying. Like that first bit in the village. And it's like there's like 5 enemies and you just like go off and like stealth them out. For some reason that took me like 10 tries. I don't know why. But after that, when I kind of got into it and got more powerful, it was more enjoyable. But I think the game's a bit too long as well because it took me 15 hours to beat.
Okay.
And that feels like a bit too long for that kind of thing. And I wouldn't mind replaying it, but not for like 15 hours.
I think it is. I mean, without getting sidetracked too much, I think it's a solid game. I like it a lot, but I think I like most is just that like there is a level of jankiness to it, but also just like a level of like B-movie, I don't know, stupidity and like almost self-awareness, and the voice acting's a bit funny in points. But yeah, you should play Within 2 because I think it's really underrated, and it's basically open world. It is open world Evil Within, and everything's a bit more refined and everything's a bit more polished and focused. It's good. But yeah, so Ghostwire Tokyo is not what I expected. I'll be honest. It looks a lot more action.
Happy.
Yeah. It looks a lot more action focused than I was expecting, but like I love it. Sort of looks like a unique game, like a first-person shooter in a sense with magic attacks and
takes place in modern Tokyo and you fight demon things.
It's interesting.
Cool.
It's interesting. I think the title as well is interesting. That it's called Ghostwire Tokyo, as if the sequel is going to be Ghostwire New Zealand, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. But that's meant to come out in 2021. So yeah, it looks interesting. Then we had Godfall, which is the new Gearbox game, which is a console exclusive for PS5 and PC. Also, just to make the point, Ghostwire Tokyo is also a PS5 exclusive. I don't know whether that's a timed exclusive, but it is definitely an exclusive of sorts. But Godfall is a PS5 console exclusive on PC. It basically looks like, without trying to compare it to too many stuff, but it looks like Borderlands or Destiny or Diablo or something. More like Diablo, except with third-person action combat.
That's wacky and flashy than Diablo.
And at launch, I'll probably play it. Something that you can spend tons of hours in with good combat, good loot. Like, I'm down for that any day of the week. So it doesn't look like it's going to be an especially amazing thing, like pushing forward game narratives or combat or anything, but it looks like a very solid, flashy, cool game to play for a lot of time, to shove in hours to buy armor and weapons. And, I always like loot grinding and shit, so it'll be a good title. But I mean, at the moment, you've got so many things that are supposedly coming out on launch day.
Quite a few,
That,
yeah.
yeah, it's like, wow, okay. Like you come at launch day, you want to get 5 games. That's
£200 probably.
yeah,
£250.
£250 at launch. Yeah, roundabout. Then we had Solar Ash, which is a new game from the developers of Hyper Light Drifter, which I haven't played. It looked like a very colourful game.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say much more about that. I've heard that it's sort of a spiritual successor to Hyper Light Drifter. It might even be in the same universe, but
Never played Hyper Light Drifter.
me neither. But it looked like a very colourful, fun game. I can't say too much more about it. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there's almost too many really saturated colour, actiony indie games. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just I think the biggest problem with the indie scene is you have to really do something quite unique to stand out. Because if you make another 8-bit game, or like, it all sort of blends into each other.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
And then you get something like Cuphead, which is so wholly unique and so clearly hard worked on, that it's like, oh wow, this stands out above everything else. But yeah, Solar Ash for me is one of those things where it just sort of goes into like a mess in my brain of all these other things that sort of look similar. Then we got a cool Hitman 3 release, which is awesome. Which comes out in January.
Yeah.
Which is basically around launch.
Hitman.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. I got to admit, from the trailer though, it looks like the exact same engine as the other 2 titles. I think it has to be because they've made it in 2. You could play all of the levels from 1 in the 2 engines, so it looks like they want to keep doing that forward. But yeah, that comes out in January.
All right. I know I haven't played any of the new ones, but I quite enjoyed some of the older ones. So I don't know if I'll play that, but it looks kind of neat, I guess.
I think it'll be worth in the sale or something if the first one or the second one's cheap, just trying it out, because they are kind of like a line. They're more blood money than they are Absolution. But
yeah, I get that impression from it.
Yeah, they sort of streamlined the game, so it's not so much like it doesn't so much nudge you into what you could do, as much as like telling you can do a creative kill by doing exactly this.
Right.
But it's still fun in that respect, and you can always turn off those hints and stuff. But yeah, they're all pretty fun games. I think after playing 2, I just sort of found myself like a bit like unfazed, because every mission is sort of the same thing. And it's hard to, I don't know, for me it's hard to create consistently like entertaining levels within that formula, because it's always going to be kill a target.
The same ending, yeah.
Yeah. Then we had the Astronaut announcement, which hell yeah, it looks like it's cute. It looks like another solid platform, and I think I saw a clip about it. And the thing they're trying to push is that while the Astrobot VR game was like a good way of showcasing how you can use VR creatively in a platformer, this is supposedly meant to be a creative way of how you can use this new haptic feedback and trigger feedback and stuff in a platformer. Yeah.
Stuff, yeah. That's cool.
So I'm excited for it. And we had Little Devil Inside, which was another. It looked like it was made of paper. That was the graphic style, but it looked like you're killing monsters and demons, chilling out with an old man in a bathtub. That's supposedly coming out at launch as well. I was actually
that Wes Anderson thing? Jokes about.
Yeah,
that one. Yeah,
I actually really like the look of it, and I think
the
small clips you have of like actual combat and stuff, it looked quite fast paced and like not intense, but just like interestingly done. So I'm really interested in that. And that is out at launch as well. I'll be getting that. Then we had the big one.
Oh, the boy.
NBA 2K21. Hell,
I wasn't expecting that. My jaw dropped when I saw
my jaw dropped on the floor, and I had to. It took me 3 hours to pick it back up. It was such a They really showed the sweat glands on those boys.
These boys have some sweaty foreheads.
Yes. That's all I had to say about that. Then we had the classic, ooh, Bug Snacks, which I'll be honest, might be the most genius bit of marketing because that song has been stuck in my fucking head ever since that conference. And it's actually made by Kira Bonito as well, which is crazy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I didn't realize
So I don't know how much of the soundtrack is going to be by her, but that was that song, and I was vibing very hard with it during the stream. It looks absolutely ridiculous and nonsensical. The same as Octodad because it's from the developers of Octodad. But hell yeah, I'm down to eat a strawberry and become a strawberry. You know, any day of the week. It looks like a ton
That's
of
what I
fun.
want to do.
I'm not really sure what the gameplay loop is. Is the gameplay loop just like trapping these snacks and then eating them?
I think it's because like grouping them together or something, like lemmings. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Who knows?
Who knows? Bug
But
Snacks is a mystery.
all you need to know is Bug Snacks is coming, people. Forget about Spider-Man. Forget about God of War. Forget about Last of Us. Forget about everything. Forget about Cyberpunk. Bug Snacks this year. It's the moment we've been waiting for. We've been waiting years for a Bug Snacks announcement, and we finally got it.
Oh yeah.
Then we had Deathloop, which is also apparently coming out this year, and is also a timed exclusive for PS5.
Right.
It looked a little bit very much like Dishonored.
It definitely looks like an arcade game, yeah.
Yeah, but I think the parts where they're showing the more fast-paced gunplay, it looked really fun, and the actual just like shooting of it reminded me more of Wolfenstein. Like
the art style as well.
Yeah, the trailers for like New Colossus and stuff was coming back to me. Yeah, where you're sort of sliding under a fireplace with dual, mini machine guns, and it looked like a lot of fun. And I think narratively, it's going to be quite an interesting way to go back because it looks like you play as both characters trying to kill each other, but also trying to take up targets.
I thought it's like a multiplayer thing.
I'm not sure whether it is or not.
All right, I thought it was.
I feel like it might be. It might be. I'll see if I can find out quickly. But I think that the idea is it's just a first person. Yeah, it says you play as two extraordinary assassins.
All right, no mention of multiplayer.
Innovative first person shooter. Upcoming action adventure game from Arcane. So it looks like it's just. Yeah, apparently on PS5 it runs at 4K at 60 frames per second, and it is a timed exclusive for PS5, which is kind of a big dick move from Sony again, kind of a dick move as well.
Exclusives shouldn't really be real, but nothing should be exclusive. But But
you've got to do it to sell. But the game looks really cool, and apparently it's coming out this year. I'm not sure if there's been a firm release date, but if it is at launch or around launch. Or just after, I think it's going to do quite well, actually. It looks like a fun game. Then, my second oh shit in that moment.
Oh yeah, this one, yeah.
Which I sort of knew was coming as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Is Resident Evil Village. It's not called Resident Evil 8, apparently. It's called Resident Evil Village. There's no 8.
Oh. Okay. Well, it does say like 8 and like the title.
Well, they said that's more of a nod to like, it's the 8th in the series, but it's not actually called Resident Evil 8. It's just called Resident Evil Village.
Right. Okay.
It's weird. Yeah. Then every like official logging of it isn't Resident Evil 8. It's Resident Evil Village. Whereas 7 was Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. So whatever. It doesn't really matter. The interesting thing though that I've noticed because this is the trailer I've rewatched the most. I'll be honest.
Same. Yeah.
I haven't actually rewatched any of the other ones, maybe apart from the Spider-Man one, but this one I watched several times because I was just like, I want to see this. It looks like a very good time, no alcohol required, as Jeremy would say. It looks so creepy. And
it does look creepy with werewolf things.
Yeah, it makes me so uncomfortable watching it at points. It's like, wow, this is great. You're again reinventing Resident Evil in the same way you did with 7. And I actually feel uncomfortable to go into this. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? I have no idea. And I really like that. And I think, seeing massive buff Chris come back, shooting your wife in the face.
Just try to get the whole last game. Try to save.
I'm excited for this game. I love Resident Evil games. I found a new love of Resident Evil games playing through all of them recently.
Same, yeah.
I'm very, very excited to see what this game is. And I think,
I just want to know what's happening.
yeah, what the
I'm
fuck is
intrigued
going
about
on?
the story.
Because I'm sure what it'll be in the end is that, again, it's a thing where everyone's infected or it's a umbrella thing. But at the moment, it looks so fucking abstract and so weird. And it is got some strong Resi 4 vibes with, a village
The villages and whatnot,
underneath a massive castle and like that
and
weird
also like the inventory.
yeah.
So like the inventory section, and it's also got like a currency in it as
Yeah.
well on the inventory screen.
I'm really hoping there'll be a merchant then.
Yeah. What
But,
are you buying?
the thing that I keep noticing when I watch the trailer is it starts with the end to his story. And initially I was like, oh, this is the end to Ethan's story. But what if it's Chris? What if this is Chris's? Yeah. What if this is where Chris ends? Because I don't know if they'll actually kill him off. Because that seems a bit weird. It's weird that this poor guy started out as like a skinny guy walking around a mansion. Then he had to beat up a fucking boulder. Then he had his partner turn into an electric version of Thor god in like with a weird arm. Then he suddenly had a massive plastic surgery change in Seven and became a skinny legend. Then somehow he's completely changed back and is now the buffest guy. Now he's probably going to get killed off. He's just had the worst run, man. The worst.
He's not doing well.
But he looks so fucking huge in the trailer. He is built.
He's gonna throw you through a wall.
I really hope there's a fist fight with him.
What if it's skinny Ethan like trying to fight?
It's so funny. It's interesting though because he actually says sorry to Ethan before he shoots his fucking wife, and it's like it made me think maybe he is like if he's like being controlled by someone or by these witches or whatever, and he's like completely conscious that like he doesn't want to do this, but he just has to because his body's under control of someone else, and then he's just like he acts like a nemesis or like Mr. X character. So you've just got Chris Redfield like smashing through doors trying to chase you down because he's not in control of his body. He's just like, sorry about this, Ethan, and you have to like maneuver out of the way of him. That would be very funny. Resident Evil Village is coming out next year. I hope it is in the first half of the year. I think that's a very good.
I think it will be.
Yeah, it's a very good gap that they seem to consistently keep filling. Yeah, I to be honest, I can't see it being any later than maybe April next year. But if it is, I can wait because I'm very excited, and I'm sure after that, it'll probably be Resi 4. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. The next announcement we had is the game that has the furthest away release date, which is Pragmata, which is from Capcom. Which, to be honest, when I was watching it, I was like,
the Kojima.
Yeah, I was like 100% sure it was a new Kojima game.
Yeah, no, it's because that astronaut guy. I was like, wait, is that the guy from the Kojima logo? Like the astronaut that you saw? That's what I thought he was.
It looks identical, and I was like 100% sure this was the new Kojima game, and even like a little girl with a cat and stuff. It gave me strong Death Stranding vibes, but no idea. It looks like a weird game. It's not coming out for another 2 years, so whatever. I didn't really have any strong feelings about it. It looked very Japanese.
Yeah, which is good.
Then we have an announcement, which I'll be honest, I'm not that crazy for, which is the Horizon 2 Forbidden West, which doesn't have a release date. I think that would have been a very big dick move again if they made that a launch title, but I understand they can't have everything.
Probably won't be too long after launch.
Probably not. But yeah, I think it's been 5 or 6 years, 4 or 5 years actually, since Horizon 1. And I know there's a huge market for it and people who love it. I'll be honest, I played Horizon on release day. I finished it. I'm not a fan of it that much. I just really don't dig it. I think it's just a bit derivative of other things. It feels just like, to me, it always just felt like open world Tomb Raider with robots. And I never really connected with the story or the characters or the gameplay or the world or anything. I think it's very beautiful. I think the dinosaur robot things are very cool. But apart from that, like, I have no feeling towards this as a franchise. I'm happy it's coming. I'll probably play it. But I know people are like hyping more hype for this as some people are for Spider-Man, for God of War. I don't really consider it to be on that level. I think it's a very solid open world action game, but apart from that, it really does nothing for me.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I'm sure it'll be bigger, better, more graphic.
Older,
Yeah, whatever.
faster.
The usual buzzwords. And then we
Merchant.
finalized with a very expensive looking graphic opening with some really sexy music towards the end, where I was like, bro, am I about to get fucked by Sony? And I was, because they showed off the PS5 design, which took me a while to come around to, I'll be honest. But I actually do
Yeah.
like it, and I think it's interesting that they've taken a design choice in that direction to really differentiate it from every other thing on the market. Problem is, for me, I don't know if I'd ever want to put it on its side, because I think it looks way better when it's on its up. Because it looks so weird on its side. It looks like a burger where all the fillings are falling out. I was watching a reaction to it, and someone's described it as the first video game console with labia. So it's interesting.
Yeah, I know. I think I don't really like the design.
Yeah.
But, like as long as they release a black model, and I can keep it on its side, then I'll be fine with it. Like it doesn't bother me too much.
I'll be honest. I don't think they'll release a black model at least in the first year.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think it's going to be an option.
We'll see what happens. But
there's been a few supposed price leaks for the digital version, for £399, sorry, for the digital only version.
all right.
So to be honest, I think that's quite cheap. I feel like that's probably just a placeholder, but who knows? At the end of the day, what matters is what's inside of it, and also what games you can play on it. Because the design
matters,
the design at the end of the day is only going to last you a week, and then you'll forget about it because you're playing video games. But it does. I will admit, it does look weird. I've grown to it. I like it. I'm excited to have it. But I think I want to try and figure out a way that I can have it standing upwards rather than on its side, because I don't really like it aesthetically when it's on its side. It just looks messy. And it looks like it's been designed for that. It looks like a perfectly adequate rip-off, as you said, a Chinese version of the Wii, or like a really standard,
feels like it.
A really standard modem router for your Wi-Fi. So we'll see. So Harry, overall thoughts on this event? Where does it sort of rank in terms of the last few sort of things we've had over the past few years, and especially since the last big Sony conference in 2017 or so?
Last big Sony one was like 2018, wasn't it? And it was just like 4 games. Yeah. I'm not really sure how to rank conferences, but like.
How can we rank the marketing that our companies feed us?
But no, I think it's probably the thing I've enjoyed most in terms of like a live stream thing in quite a while. Definitely since E3 last year.
Yeah.
And, I feel like I'm curious what Xbox come out with next, because Xbox usually have like a really strong third-party showing.
Yeah.
Which PlayStation doesn't always have.
Yeah, but the PlayStation always has the same games though, which is
so it's always got that first-party strong showing. But I'm really curious about the third-party stuff. So
I hope Xbox knock it out of the park, really.
Hope they both do. I want the games.
Because competition breeds better things for the customers, really. But yeah, I just we sort of made this point the other day when you and me were talking about sort of brand recognition and the power that a brand like PlayStation has over something like Xbox, where the power of it comes from years and years of consistency and quality and like familiarity and nostalgia, which outside of like Halo, I don't think Xbox really has. And there's not really a franchise that Xbox owns anymore that could make that they say, oh, we've got a new one of these that would make me excited. The only thing they would have had would have been Alan Wake, but now Control, Remedy are on their own. They can do what they want. So there's nothing that Xbox have. What they need to do is make really great games for years, and then they'll catch up. It's hard to, you can't just, it's not as simple as just making one 10 out of 10 game, which Xbox doesn't have. But just making one of those isn't really enough at this point. You have to have like a decade of it to be on the same level. But I think it's an interesting argument where Xbox has supposedly got more power in the new system, and then you have developers talking about how that's not necessarily the most important thing compared to, say, a world-class SSD that PS5 have developed in-house.
Yeah, because the impression I seem to be guessing is that the PS5 may be easier to make games for
And
than
also,
the Xbox.
and also this new
I know.
SSD, which you can't, it's the sort of model that you can't even buy on the market. It's proprietary to Sony. It sounds like it's a bigger step forward than just here's more graphics power. Like you can do more with fast memory now that you can than just here's more power. I obviously don't know the specifics of it. I've seen a few video game developers talking about how the number of teraflops doesn't really mean anything, as opposed to actual, innovation technology. And to be honest, like the Xbox doesn't have this. The thing that I'm actually really excited to try it with the PS5 as well is this new controller, and the new sort of haptic feedbacks and the way they talked about, strengthening triggers to react to what you're doing in game and stuff. It just sounds really interesting. And to be honest, like I think I'm probably going to end up buying most of those extra accessories they showed off at the conference as well, like 3D audio headphones, dual charging.
Media remote.
Yeah, I'm all for the aesthetics of it, and also like I'm invested in PlayStation already because I want Spider-Man, and also I know God of War is coming at some point.
Those are the stuff you'll probably love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if this is what we're starting with as a generation, PS4 started with Knack, which
Knack and Drive Club.
Drive Club, Killzone,
Drive Club was a bit.
Killzone, Shadowfall, and then a bit after launch they had Infamous. That was sort of the starter for it. Infamous is great in my opinion, but like Knack as a launch title, and this time around we're starting with Spider-Man and like a whole host of other games that all look really interesting. What's exciting to me is more where we're going to be in 2 or 3 years' time.
Because that's when the good stuff starts to come out.
Yeah.
That isn't made for PS4 as well.
Yeah.
It's like made just for the PS5. Yeah.
And also, I'm not even like it's weird. After watching this conference, I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited. And then I had to remind myself, wait, before we even get to that, we've got Last of Us, we've got Ghost of Tsushima, we've got Cyberpunk, we've got Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is also going to be on there. Just like there's obviously I don't include Assassin's Creed on the same level as those games, but there's still so much coming, and I was like, wait, I need to slow down a bit. We've still got so much coming before we even get there. Which leads us to, as of yesterday, the reviews for The Last of Us 2 Part 2 were released. I'll say I'm not surprised that they were positive.
I'm not surprised to see like 10s from like IGN and loads of companies across the board.
But I think it's interesting that there's a small sort of group of people who seem to really have an issue with the narrative. Like reviewers, there are a few reviewers who have given it a 7 or 8 and just said that the narrative and the characters didn't really click for them. And it seems the majority of people disagree and are saying it's, world-class video gaming. But it's interesting to note. But there's also a really weird subsect of people who seem to really want this game to flop. They really want the reviews to be fake. They really want it all to be bad. I watched quite a few reviews last night and I read quite a few reviews, and it just sounds like such a interesting step forward for video game narratives, because apparently it's not like the way it's structured as well is unique for a video game, and a lot of it feels like the subtext and like level of symbolism you'd get in a really great novel or something. And it's weird when people use that comparison. Like we were talking about this last night, because I think it's because video games are such a young medium.
I guess, but like it just feels weird because it just feels like it's like kind of. It doesn't feel like the writers themselves, like the person who's writing the review doesn't believe in the medium they're writing about. They have to write about every day for a living, and it feels like, well, like, can you say it's like a good story about comparing it to like a novel, like or a film or whatever?
I get what you mean. IGN gave the game a 10, of course.
Yes.
They called it a
masterpiece.
masterpiece.
Didn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
IGN's verdict was Last of Us Part 2 is a masterpiece that evolves the gameplay, cinematic storytelling, and rich world design of the original in nearly every way. A common theme between a lot of the reviews is talking about how this one actually elevates the first game, which is an interesting thing for a sequel to do. Here's a review from Power Unlimited, who also gave it a 10 out of 10. It seems like there has never been so much thought put into a video game as in The Last of Us Part 2. Not only how it should surpass its illustrious predecessor, but also how you can utilize the gameplay and story as effectively as possible to draw the maximum of emotions from your players. This game takes interactive storytelling to a new level and is simply a milestone in video game history. So, very, very positive ones. But let's see if we can find one of those juicy 7 out of 10s, which is interesting to me. But yeah, the overall score on Metacritic is 96, which is incredibly high
a good
for a
score,
video game.
2 below Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, but
yeah. IGN Japan said The Last of Us Part 2 tries too hard to differentiate itself from its predecessor. While astonishing cityscapes and more varied combat options are great evolutions, Part 2 lacks the poetic serenity that made the original road movie like epic such a masterpiece. On top of that, uninteresting new characters burden the story, making Ellie's journey feel conventional and not nearly as captivating as the original.
I guess the story is more divisive this time.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite a controversial game in terms of what they're trying to accomplish. From the little bits I can glean, it sounds like the game as a whole is trying to make a statement on violence and human anger, and possibly maybe there's some subtext to do with the real world within that, about rushing to anger and innate prejudices and anger towards people. But the big thing is that the game is apparently massive, and a lot of the reviews are saying it feels like 2 or 3 games smashed into one.
This is meant to be like 25 hours long.
25 plus, yeah.
Yeah, I think also like a lot. I think like the thing that'll put a lot of people off is just like how because I see lots of stuff on Twitter because it's stuff like apparently like each enemy has like a name, each dog has its own name, and it's like that and like each kill is so brutal, and you kind of like and the game's kind of like criticized isn't violence bad, but also you kind of have to kill people at the same time. That just feels a little bit weird. Like telling you it's bad, but also making you have to do it to continue playing the game.
I mean, I think from what I can gather, the narrative is about, you're going on this journey with these characters, and you probably won't agree with them, and you probably might not like what they're doing. And I get what you're saying. I think obviously I haven't played it yet. I'm very excited to play it. It's literally 5 days away, 5 days and a few hours away.
6 days more like, but yeah.
What is it? I've got an exact countdown. 5 days and 8 hours until actual release. But yeah, it's I'm very excited for this game. I think that these reviews, if anything, have somehow made me more interested in this game now. Because I think when we saw those first trailers, I was excited because it was a sequel to The Last of Us. And then as we've seen more and more and more of this game and understanding how, to me, one of the biggest things I'm excited about is the new AI systems, and the idea of characters having names and all of this. I think when it comes to reviews and people being divisive about the story and the themes and stuff, it's going to really come down to just, I think, personal opinion. It's going to be completely subjective, because in terms of like polish and actual gameplay and actual functional technical game, no one is saying it's not spectacular. It's just it's one of those things where it's literally going to be narrative choices and thematic choices that are going to define whether you like it or not.
I watched one review by like an independent reviewer called Skill Up, I think.
Oh, I know Skill Up. Yes.
Yeah, I watched his review, and he didn't like the game, and he didn't enjoy the gameplay.
Really?
He didn't like the gameplay, and he didn't enjoy this narrative either. He said he found it a chore to get through, because it's so long. So I don't know. I guess
it's interesting though. I watched his original review of him talking about The Last of Us 1, and I think he's not actually that big a fan of the original either.
No, because I think in his review he said he liked the story, but he didn't really jive with the gameplay that much. So yeah.
I think it's one of those things where if you already feel invested in what you're going into, I think you're going to have a different connection and a different passion for what you're going through. But it's like, I don't know how to put it. I don't know, maybe I hate this comparison. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. But it would be almost like watching Avengers Endgame without the build up, without caring about any of the build up to it. It doesn't necessarily have the same hits, the same level. But obviously, I can't judge until I played it. I might play it and I might go, yeah, I don't like it that much. But I don't know. I'm really. It's a weird thing where I'm actually really excited for gameplay in a Naughty Dog game, and the gameplay looks ridiculously polished and ridiculously violent and frantic. And I just hope, for me personally, it delivers. I think across the board, it's mostly positive, and I think it's going to be divisive and something that's going to be talked about for a while. But the reviews are very positive. I'm very excited. I'll definitely try and do a review of it on this channel.
Yeah.
If I can recover from it.
I'm just hoping the game manages to keep. I'm just hoping the game manages to keep people's interest, considering how long it is and how dark and depressing it is.
And I think that's one of the things. Is it might. I don't know what the balance is, because the first game had a lot of moments of levity, and I'm not sure what the balance here is going to be if the whole thing is so depressing. I watched a review where a guy was talking about. He said I had to take breaks every 3 hours because I just felt so depressed and anxiety ridden. He liked the game in the end, but it's one of those things where it's I don't know, what experience do you want going into a video game, and what do you if you want to enjoy a video game, this is almost the complete opposite end of it. It's like you're not getting pure enjoyment out of any aspect of it. It's I don't know, it's a weird experience. Can't tell until we played it, but I'm very excited to try it. I'm sure I won't shut up about it if I do like it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of that.
Yes. Thank you, Harrison.
So, I had a pleasure. It's a good time.
Thank you for everybody who has watched this or listened to this. This was us discussing the PS5 and the Last of Us reviews. Hopefully I'll be back sooner than later. I'm definitely trying to organise getting a PS5 review, a Last of Us Part 2 review up at least a week or a week and a half after the game releases. That will probably be with Sam and possibly Carly or anyone, depending who actually gets the game on release day. We will see. Harry, stay safe.
You too.
Go watch the trailer for Bugsnax 50 more times.
It's all I watch.
Which is also an exclusive to PS5, by the way. It's gonna be a great time.
I'll snack it with that.
Thank you for watching, everybody. See you soon,
guys.
Get Stockmanized.
Wow.